Scared about tomorrow's job interview? Are you a fresher student and it's your first time? Do you need some advice about how to conduct yourself in a proper interview? Hi, this is Terry from Fresher Interview, and I want to show you 10 examples of common questions for fresher students and their answers that will make you feel more confident during your next job interview. There's no worse feeling than when you're in an interview and the interviewer asks you a question you don't know the answer to. The best way to handle this dreaded debacle is to go into the interview prepared. Familiarize yourself with a few common difficult questions and arm yourself with answers prepared ahead of time. Check out these 10 common interview questions for fresh grads and some suggested responses in order to avoid an interview disaster. Question number 1. Tell me about yourself. This is a common opening interview question. Instead of launching straight into the interview, your interviewer asks you to introduce yourself. Your answers should be a quick rundown of your qualifications and experience. Talk about your education, work history, recent career experience, and future goals. There are many ways to answer this question, and that's why we recommend you give a brief overview of your career, especially when this question comes in the first stage of the job interview. The best way to be prepared for this question? Have a short, 1 minute or less work bio ready. You'll be amazed at how often it comes in handy. An example of a good answer for this question. I am a graduate in marketing at Harvard University, and I have some experience working as an intern with a marketing agency. I have skills in branding, social marketing, and market analysis, and my objective is continuing to grow my skills so I will be able to have a good career in the marketing industry. Question number 2. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Let the employer know that you're stable and you want to be with this company for the long run. Keep your personal aspirations to yourself. You know how you want to take over this firm you're interviewing with, own your own company, retire at 40, and get married and have 5 children. The main aim of this question for the interviewer is to know if the candidate would be a good hire and will stay with the company. So at some point, they want you to prove your future loyalty to the firm. Suggested answer. I want to secure a civil engineering position with a national firm that concentrates on retail development. Ideally, I would like to work with a young company such as this one so I can get in on the ground floor and take advantage of all the opportunities a growing firm has to offer. Question number 3. What are your weaknesses? The interviewer is trying to gauge your self-awareness. We all have weaknesses, so it's best not to say you don't have any. Avoid using the word weakness and instead talk about an area for improvement that is not vital for the job, or specify a challenge that you are working to overcome. Demonstrating a willingness to develop yourself and face challenges turns the answer into a positive. In this case, it is also useful to expose the negative side of one or some of your strengths. Maybe, for instance, how being a perfectionist can sometimes turn into stubbornness, which translates into being too hard on yourself, which is something you're trying to work on. This will show the interviewer your self-awareness and your work ethic at the same time. The question is a test of character. On one hand, they are looking for cues or red flags regarding why they should not hire you, and on the other hand, they are looking at your ability to be prepared and maintain composure in a difficult setting. They also want to know how self-aware you are and whether you're doing anything to overcome your challenges. An example of a good answer for this question. I like to make sure that my work is perfect, so I tend to perhaps spend a little too much time checking it. However, I have come to a good balance by setting up a system to ensure everything is done the first time correctly. I used to wait until the last minute to set appointments for the coming week, but I realized that scheduling in advance makes much more sense. Sometimes I spend more time than necessary on a task or take on tasks personally that could easily be delegated to someone else. Although I have never missed a deadline, it is still an effort for me to know when to move on to the next task and to be confident when assigning others work. Question number 4. Why should we hire you? Or why do you want to work for us? Usually positioned mid-session or near the end of the interview, this one from the set of fresher interview questions is a chance to portray yourself as the candidate who most fits the position. The interviewer is trying to gauge your enthusiasm for the role as well as your level of knowledge about the company. Give specific examples of things that attracted you to the company. Elaborate on your strengths, achievements, and skills, as well as how these match the role's descriptions, positioning you as a desirable employee. If you tell them why you fit the job, directly relating to the information you have about the company, the interviewer will see that you took the time to do some research and you know what the company you are applying to does. An example of a good answer for this question. As a skilled content writer, I understand the aspirations for your company are related to create suitable content which serves the business. My abilities to work with Photoshop, keyword tools, and graphics can help me create relevant content faster and better for your brand. And that's why I would be the candidate who is the best fit for your current vacancy. Question number 5. What are your strengths? We talked about weaknesses in number 3, but it's so common to ask the opposite question, the strengths. Just as for the weaknesses, the objective of this question for the interviewer is to make a profile of your character. You don't want to look overconfident on this answer, so the best option normally is to focus on a couple of strengths and make a brief explanation of why these areas are your strengths. The interviewer wants to know what you are particularly good at and how this would fit into the role. Choose a few of your key strengths that perfectly fit this role and give examples of how you have demonstrated them successfully in the past. Strengths could include the ability to learn quickly, ability to work under pressure, and the capability to multitask. Perhaps you're a strong team player as well as your ability to work independently. Question number 6. How would others describe you? You should always be asking for feedback from your colleagues and supervisors in order to gauge your performance. This way you can honestly answer the question based on their comments. Keep track of the feedback to be able to give to an employer if asked. Doing so will also help you identify strengths and weaknesses. Suggested answer. My former colleagues have said that I am easy to do business with and that I always hit the ground running with new projects. I have more specific feedback ready for you if you'd like to take a look at it. Question number 7. What do you know about this company? This interview question is a clear attempt to find out if you've done your research. Show you're enthusiastic about the job by researching the company before your interview. Chances are your interviewer isn't going to grill you, so it can be as simple as checking out the company website and doing a quick Google search. Bring up recent news such as leadership change, a big company event, or a recent product launch, and that can earn you a gold star from your interviewer and demonstrate you know your stuff. Question number 8. How much salary do you expect? Although this question sounds straightforward, the answer is complex. At the interview stage, when you have still not been finalized for the role, you shouldn't blow your chance with an ambitious number. Neither would you want to commit to a small number and paint yourself into a corner. From the interviewer's perspective, this question is an obvious filter, whether the candidate would realistically fit the company's budget or not. It's also a judgment call on maturity, self-awareness, and industry awareness. The best option for this question is to do some research beforehand about the average salary on a similar profile to yours, so in any case, you will present a fair number to the interviewer. Suggested answer. I want to get a salary proportionate to my skills and the objectives I'm able to bring to the company. I researched this on my own, and it would be amazing to have a salary between X and Z. Question number 9. Tell me about a work conflict you experienced and how it was resolved. One of the most dreaded and difficult interview questions on this list, especially when it comes to a fresher student. In this one, we will have to explain in detail a conflict. Be careful with this one because it has potential to expose a weakness you'd rather not discuss. It may sound like common sense, but the best way to answer this question is to choose a conflict that had a happy ending, ideally one that you were responsible for. Suggested answer. You and your boss disagreed on how to approach a new client. In the end, you came up with a revised strategy that was a compromise which used elements of both visions. In this story, you come out the good guy and highlight positive traits such as your ability to collaborate and be a team player. Just remember, don't be disparaging or choose a conflict that makes your former workplace seem hostile. Tearing down others to build yourself up is never a good look. Question number 10. Do you have any questions for me or us? It is the most commonly asked question towards the end of an interview. As it is one of the last questions of your interview, it leaves you with a final opportunity to leave your mark on the interviewer. And that is why you shouldn't take the chance of not preparing for it. Often interviewers ask this question to understand how well you're prepared for this interview. They're checking your preparation, enthusiasm, and readiness to work with the organization. It's always a good idea to ask questions related to your future role in the position you are making the application for. Suggested questions. Can you tell me more about what a person would be expected to do in this position? What's a typical day in the office like? Why are you looking to hire someone for this position? What would be my role in the company? So these are the 10 examples of common questions for fresh students and their answers that will make you feel more confident on your next job interview. Hope you enjoyed this video, and remember, give it a like if you enjoy it and subscribe to the channel. If you want to know more job interview questions and how to answer them, check out the link in the description. I'll see you in the next video. This is Terry from Fresher Interview.